Hi, everybody. I'm Trish Wood, and I am a volunteer with the National Citizens Inquiry. I'm very, very excited to announce that the commissioners for the Regina hearings have been selected, and we're going to meet them tonight. I will be introducing each and every one of them, and we have 2 returning commissioners for this hearing and 2 new ones. We will also be hearing from the lead counsel of the National Citizens Inquiry, so we're back. A lot of people wanted us back, and we're back. We listened to you. Canadians have been asked the question, what do you want from the National Citizens Inquiry? And the overwhelming response was more hearings on the topic of government's response to COVID-19. So here we are. And I've been asked to describe what the inquiry meant to me and what it means to me, as it's an ongoing, living, breathing thing now. It has not come to an end. It may never end. It may always go on collecting these wonderful testimonies. I think for me personally, as a journalist or someone with a background in journalism, I feel very deeply the sense that history is being laid down for posterity through these narratives, regardless of whatever happens with them or whoever reads them, or in 10 years, what people say when they look at them. I think it will be a miraculous thing when they do. But I think just the idea of laying down these histories, these human histories, the scientific testimonies of people is a very, very important thing right now, especially since there is a sense that we're moving away from those events. And the further we move from those times, the more I feel it's very, very important that we've got a record, a personal, upfront, and detailed record of what happened and what was done. So let me introduce the commissioners. Our returning commissioner to the NCI is Ken Drysdale, and he will be acting as chair of the commissioners. I'm just going to read a little bit of his bio so you know a bit more about him before we actually throw to Ken. He is an executive engineer with over 40 years experience as a professional engineer, which includes 29 years experience in the development and management of national and regional engineering businesses. He is currently retired from full-time practice as a consulting engineer, but continues to be active in the area of forensic engineering and investigations, preparation of expert reports and expert testimony at trial, arbitrations, and mediations. And here is Ken Drysdale. Nice to have you back again. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. It's a pleasure to be back, and it's quite an honor to be back. You know, despite the significant work that we did in the original hearings in 2023, you know, we visited 8 cities. We held 24 days of hearings. We interviewed over 300 witnesses, and we prepared a 5,400-page report. But still, the work is not complete. We have significant things that have happened in this country since our report was completed only in November. The government has continued to push vaccines. The government is talking about mandates again. Some universities and colleges still have lockdowns, and a great deal of new research and new evidence has come out. And that's why we reconvened these hearings in Regina at the end of the month. So I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be able to contribute again. And I look forward to preparing the next supplemental report to our November 28th report to inform Canadians about exactly what happened and what is still happening to this day. So thanks, Trish.
Well, you're so on the nose to talk about what's happening. I had a small injury recently and ended up going through an emergency room at a major downtown hospital. I won't say which, and it felt like they were in total COVID protocol all over again. Masks, social distancing, scary signs on the wall, the whole 9 yards. It's as if it had never ended. So obviously, revisiting that is something that's really smart to do in this next round. And thanks for that, Ken. Now I'd like to introduce Patricia Robertson, who is one of our new commissioners. And before I throw to her, I'm just going to read a little bit about her background. She is a she is in constant pursuit of knowledge pertaining to the human body. She attended grammar school in the UK, spent 5 years studying advanced level medical science. Her specialty is immunohematology, practicing in West Cheshire Maternity Hospital in Walsall Manor, Deva and Chester City Hospital. That's a mouthful. She immigrated to Canada and discovered her UK education was not recognized. However, she did gain a position at the U of A hospital in the immunology side of the blood bank, was allowed to challenge CSLT exams. We'll talk about that. And LPN exams, worked at the university plus home care nursing. It goes on. It's a very, very extensive level of experience she's got. So here is Patricia Robertson. And I'm wondering, Patricia, pardon me if I bungled any of the scientific stuff, but what is your hope from serving on this inquiry?
I'm looking at listening, reviewing the evidence put forward. I feel my medical background, and plus I have children, I feel like I could give something back to working as a commissioner. I feel very honored and grateful to accept the role of as an independent commissioner. And I'm really looking forward to the hearings. I'm trained as well in traditional and alternative therapies. I own my own clinic. I used to have 7 therapists, but now as I get older, I'm tending to pull back. I call myself semi-retired, but I still work 60 hours a week. I just came back from a medical missionary in Guatemala, and I found it very interesting. There was no masks, and everybody was generally healthy. I'm
wondering if you're looking forward to the idea that you're going to be taking testimony from people, and part of that role to hearing people speak about their experiences.
Yeah, I really am looking forward to taking testimony, assimilating, reviewing the evidence on a non-biased basis. And I feel that I can see both sides, being as I work in the medical field, and I work with many, many practitioners who I see both sides of the beliefs and where they were coming from.
Well done, Patricia. Thanks for doing this tonight. Our next returning commissioner is Janice Kaikkonen. Oh, I hope I got that right. And I'm going to read a little bit from her bio as well. Janice's passion is community outreach. She works primarily with vulnerable populations and youth. Academically, she holds degrees in island studies and public administration. Janice has taught in both K through 12 and post-secondary education, Faculty of Arts, Education, Journalism, Pre-Med. Her research specialization involves the intersection of public policy and the social fabric, which has led Janice to pursue a PhD in theology and discipleship. Those are very, very interesting things to spend time studying and thinking about. How are you going to bring that kind of training to your role here as a commissioner and listening to these testimonies as they come in?
Well, thank you, Trish. It is quite a well-rounded academic and professional background that I bring. I also am a mother of 7 and grandmother of 18. So there's that component as well. I'm very strong on families. So I work with a lot of people, but I'm going back to when we started this journey in Truro, Nova Scotia. At that time, the social fabric was crumbling and students were experiencing a lot of anxiety in the school about their structures, their daily structures being disrupted. Our God-given rights were being eroded and our constitution overrode in just about every level. The administrative state was expanding. There were a lot of questions that society, the people within society had with regard to what was happening. And so when NCI stepped in, we started to shine a light on what that darkness was about, the darkness that was actually overshadowing every aspect of our society. So I think in terms of what I bring to the table, or what I have brought to the table in the past, is that well-rounded experience from a number of sectors. When I say I work with vulnerable populations, they were very adversely affected. And I don't think people realize the extent of destruction that has happened. And so coming back, it's a great opportunity to continue to listen to the testimony of over 300 witnesses the first time and many more this time, but also to see if we have actually healed our social fabric since the end of the pandemic. And we're going to be able to look at the suggestions and recommendations that we made and see if we've made any inroads forward in terms of the judicial, the administrative state, our governance models, our charter. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to be bringing to the table, and just listening to the testimony of all of those witnesses. And as they share their stories, as hard as it is for them as well. So I'm thankful to be back. I concur with Ken. It's great to be back. So thank you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Our next commissioner is a chap named Louis Olivier Fontaine, and he's our final commissioner tonight. Louis Olivier was a lawyer, and he volunteered last year with the National Citizens Inquiry in Quebec City. Let me tell you a little bit about him. After studying health sciences and completing a bachelor's degree in architecture at Laval University, Louis Olivier Fontaine studied law at the University of Quebec in Montreal, becoming a lawyer in 2013. He has practiced in various workplaces and areas of law. He notably defended professionals in disciplinary matters and acted as prosecutor for the National Citizens Commission of Inquiry during the hearings held in Quebec in May of 2023. Hi, Louis Olivier. Glad to have you on board. And how do you see this shaking out for you? What are you looking for?
Yes, hi Trish. Thanks for the introduction. So yeah, I'm really happy. I was asked to act as a commissioner this year for the hearings that will be held in Regina. As you mentioned, I acted as a lawyer for the hearings that took place in Quebec City last year. So I feel I was kind of promoted to be a commissioner. So I'm really glad I got this promotion, if I can call it that way. And my experience last year was very, very intense. So the testimonies I've heard from lay witnesses were so deep, so touching. Some of them really emotional. I've also questioned under oath expert witnesses from Canada, from the US, even from Europe, and it was very humbling to have the opportunity to question under oath, these people that I had been following before, and this time I'm looking forward to the new witnesses we're going to have in Regina. I'm pretty sure they have very interesting stories to tell us, and some people say this COVID thing is over. Well, yeah, maybe it's over, but what I see is censorship is still happening. So having an opportunity to give a voice to people who otherwise would not have a voice, I think it's very important, and I'm really glad I will be part of this.
Thanks very much. And you raised a couple of good points. One of them for me, and I'll be really waiting with bated breath to see how far you go on this, but a lot of people are still struggling, and they seem to not be able to move on until there's some kind of a public reckoning, some acknowledgement maybe from the powers that be about what happened and why it happened, and they fear that until that happens for them, then they'll never be able to move on. So I'm very curious to understand what people tell you about that in this process. I'm pretty sure that's going to come up. I definitely hear that from my listeners and my readers. So I'm curious to know how that plays out for you. But I think you're going to have a really interesting time. And I think we're lucky to have you. You seem like a very sensitive guy who's probably quite a good listener too. And that's what it's all about, I think. So thank you. And now I want to thank all 4 commissioners. Back to new, fantastic. What a great mission. And I think it's probably something you'll all remember for the rest of your lives and can be very, very proud of, standing up to do this for your fellow citizens in the country. So we all say thank you. I know how people felt about you last time, and so it's nice to be able to pass that along a little bit for you, that you were much beloved by the country. So let's now talk to our 2024 Regina Hearings lead counsel, and that is my old friend Sean Buckley. And I'm just going to give you a bit of a rundown on Sean if you don't know. Sean Buckley is a constitutional lawyer who has spent the last 30 years of practice defending our constitutional rights. And this has included protecting our access to natural remedies. In his 30 years practicing law, Mr. Buckley has defended more natural health companies in court than any other Canadian lawyer. He has an enviable track record in court against Health Canada charges. Outside of court, Mr. Buckley has assisted natural health companies and practitioners navigate and deal with Health Canada. Mr. Buckley is a founding member of the National Citizens Inquiry. He is the lead counsel for the NCI and is dedicated to establishing ongoing hearings to bring truth to Canadians. Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
Really good, Trish, and just great to be on a press conference or announcement with you. So we really appreciate the work that you've been doing, and I'm so looking forward to these hearings. You know, the last time round, we had a whole bunch of witnesses drop out just before the hearings, and we had some get too sick to testify. But the thing, especially the early hearings, it was the bravery, like actually people taking the stand. Like we forget, it was our first winter. We'd just not been locked down after 2 years of lockdown.
Yeah.
And the witnesses being brave enough to take the stand and tell their stories inspired those that followed. And then there was something healing about us hearing each other's stories. So there is something about documenting what happens, you know, with the COVID, but there was also something, we literally built a community. And when I say we, I mean, the witnesses and everyone that participated, I found it to be very healing. But everyone who traveled through those hearings, we all suffered afterwards. I mean, I think we could have all been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. All of the commissioners, the AV team, my wife Teresa and I who traveled, Michelle, every single one of us that traveled with the hearings. I think the timing of this set of hearings, starting on May 30th, 31st, and June 1st, is timely. So that week, the World Health Organization is meeting over their international health regulations and whether or not they will be adopted. And we'll have a couple of witnesses speak about what happened and what the ramifications are.
Yeah.
But, you know, we also, within the last 2 weeks, the federal government in their budget bill, so their first bill they introduced, I think it's Bill C-63, to introduce the federal budget, they snuck in changes to the Food and Drug Act. And these changes are inexplicable, except that it's Health Canada getting ready for the next pandemic. It literally is a shopping list to be able to, you know, shut down anyone on promoting alternative treatments like ivermectin. Health Canada can adopt, wouldn't even have to apply for a vaccine license if a foreign entity like the World Health Organization has approved it. It's absolutely amazing. It's kind of like I say, a pandemic shopping list of how the regulatory body can do this without liability and with stifling dissent. So, I mean, it's shocking. I think the timing for this is absolutely crucial. And I think people are going to be shocked with some of the testimony. And what's different this time is we have witnesses, expert witnesses, traveling from afar. Like before, we'd have to, no, I'm just doing it virtually, but they're feeling a need to be there in person and actually experience the hearings. And so I hope that everyone will join us live. You can't watch a full day of the National Citizens Inquiry and be the same.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think your comment about PTSD is also true. I'm hearing from a lot of people that that's how they are feeling, that they're now kind of understanding why they're unsettled, why they feel the world has changed, why their happy meter only goes to 7 now and not 10. All of those things that happen to us, sometimes in big dramatic ways and sometimes in small subtle ways, but we're changed as a people. We are changed. And I think acknowledging that through these testimonies is going to be really, really important. And I mean, healing is an overused word, but I'll say it. I think it will be for people to hear that they're not alone and that other people are going through exactly what they did. I did a show with Julie Pinessi recently, and we talked all about this. And it's because there hasn't been a reckoning. There still has not been a reckoning. So I really believe that you people are a step in that direction, whatever it takes, that there will be a reckoning of some kind, a recognition even of some kind. And I know the country's grateful to all of you. And I also know you're changed. I know you're changed. I've heard it from many of you. So thank you very much. I think for people who see this, if they've been frustrated, they feel powerless, as we all did for all those years, this is your chance to not be powerless. Go to a hearing, fly in for it. Why not? What better way to spend your money? Buy a plane ticket, and if you don't live there, and fly out and sit with a bunch of people who are pretty cool and pretty devoted to being Canadian citizens and meeting their civic duty on this, and see if you're not a changed person. So the hearings are taking place in Regina, May 30th, 31st, and June 1st. For tickets, visit our website, nationalcitizensinquiry.ca. That's CA for Canada, of course. We will be live streaming on our social media accounts, X and NCIC Canada. For more information, go to our website. One thing you can do, if you're in one of those broken families that was kind of riven because of disagreements about COVID, why not have a watch party around some of the streaming and get together with them and plan a social event around it and see if that takes you anywhere. Anyway, on behalf of the National Citizens Inquiry, thank you. And let me just say this, the world is watching.